As the United States State Department is developing a new blockchain working group to track blockchain developments across the world, the UAE government and the city of Dubai are digitizing passports for use at their international airports. So as Dubai and as we've seen Russia vie to become the leaders in the new Silicon Valley of blockchain technology, will the United States lose pace simply by not showing up before 2020? Let's discuss. Hello everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together we're minting coins. So thank you for showing up. I really appreciate you being here and you tuning into this video. There's so much going on in the news that I wanted to cover, and there's just so much going on that with just two of us running the show, I'm not going to be able to get to everything. You know, in previous videos we were talking about Russia developing Russia coin and accepting Ethereum as a greatness for the country, for them to be able to track goods and products and people's identity and ideas. And what we've learned with Russia's about face was that Russia is seeking to become the Silicon Valley, the world leaders, the central point of blockchain development across the world. Now, while the United States has had a jump in technology for the existing internet, and really most of the developments that have happened and have come out of places like New York City and Silicon Valley, Mountain View, Redwood, all of those areas on the West Coast, we see a shift happening. A long time ago it was Alexandria, and it's changed from one place to another. And after 2020, will that place still be New York or San Francisco, or are we going to see new centers of the world and this technology pop up in Russia or Dubai? So before we get into the market and get into the news, I just again want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating with the channel. If you have any questions, make sure you put those in the box below, and I'll be happy to get to those as long as I'm able to do so. You know, feel free to like and just be part of the dialogue, because I want to make sure that your voice is being heard. So with that, let's jump into the market. Let's take a look at the news and let's discuss. Okay, so here we are over at coinmarketcap.com. Bitcoin is continuing to rise, a slow and steady pace. You know, when we look at the 7-day past graph here at coinmarketcap.com, this isn't as sophisticated as what most of the traders out there are using, but we can see it's gone up again and has stabilized again. We see that with Ethereum up again and stabilized again, and it's not just the past 7 days. We've been seeing this pattern over time. Now, Ethereum might be at maybe another new high at 273, but we have to keep in mind that the value of Bitcoin has also increased. So if you're looking at your portfolio and you're looking at your Ethereum compared to its value in Bitcoin, we might not actually be at a new high. I think it's still hovering right at that same spot around the 0.091 Ether to Bitcoin ratio. So just always keep that in mind. What else did I want to see here? Oh yeah, so with the Litecoin, I just think this is really interesting still. Something I like to keep my eye on and share with you is that we see that again, this 1% parity between the Bitcoin price and the Litecoin price. And so if this Litecoin is $29, without looking at the Bitcoin price, I would expect the Bitcoin price to be $2,900. And it was $2,700 yesterday, and we see it increasing almost at $2,900. So this is another case where we're seeing this correlation at around this 1% mark. So if, say for instance, we ever saw a Litecoin jump to a 2% parity to Bitcoin, or even 1.5% parity to Bitcoin, then for me, with my limited knowledge about trading, I would see that as a major sort of leading indicator to the price of Bitcoin, because I think that as Bitcoin develops and becomes more scarce, as larger institutions and corporations are getting into blockchain, these behemoths of technology and industry are going to be, in my opinion, my prediction, gobbling up Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to become very, very expensive very, very quickly. And because of that, the application of Litecoin, because people are going to not want to give up their Bitcoin, the usage of Litecoin, I think we're going to see increase dramatically as Litecoin becomes sort of, I guess, the change version, like the loose change version of digital cash. If you needed to buy a house, I think you might do that with a Bitcoin or to that nature. And if you needed to buy coffee, even though we'll be able to use Bitcoin, I really think Litecoin will probably have a strong position in the future of 2020. So, and share your thoughts below. Do you agree with me about Litecoin being sort of the loose change to Bitcoin, that Litecoin is going to have a strong application practically anywhere that Bitcoin is accepted in the future? And should we, sort of think about that diversification with Litecoin, since it's so similar to Bitcoin, it's decentralized but like Bitcoin, it's a little bit faster, and it has SegWit, so there's all sorts of amazing application. Last thing I'll say about that Litecoin is that if you owned 1/1,000,000th of all the Bitcoin in the world that will ever exist in 100 years from now, that would be 21 Bitcoins. So 21 Bitcoins is 1/1,000,000th of all the Bitcoins that would ever exist. And just so you know, 1/1,000,000th of all the Litecoin that will ever exist would be 84 Litecoins. It's 4 times as many Bitcoins. There's 21 million Bitcoins that will be created. There's 84 million Litecoins that will be created. So 1/1,000,000th of all of Litecoin is, like I said, 84 Litecoins is 1/1,000,000th of all the Litecoin. And the current market value of that is less than 1 Bitcoin. So it's, just some interesting numbers to think about in terms of that Litecoin world. So in this first news article that I want to get to, we, in some past videos that have been very popular on this channel, we were talking about the draft Senate bill that was brought to the U.S. Senate, or maybe not brought to the U.S. Senate, but was drafted for the Senate from Senator Feinstein and Senator Grassley of California and Ohio, I believe, respectively. And that didn't sound very positive for the development of the blockchain industry and for consumers of blockchain in the United States. In this article, we're seeing that from Coindesk.com that the U.S. State Department is forming a new blockchain working group. And so let's go into the details of what the U.S. State Department is talking about here. So this is all according to a post from the U.S. State Department's website, which you can click to in the show notes below. And just go over, the U.S. State Department serves as the chief diplomacy arm of the United States government. They're supposed to be making friends and having open dialogues of communication and working with other nations in the world to help push forward the interests of a peaceful world and a strong United States of America. And so the U.S. State Department is seeking to bring on an intern to support the research efforts for its new working group called Blockchain at State. It's an interesting name. It's interesting they have a little the at symbol inside their working group name. And it's overseen by the Office of Global Partnerships. I don't know a lot about the Office of Global Partnerships, but this is something I'm going to be looking into a little bit more and paying attention to see as their opinions and perspectives and policies come out around blockchain technology. So this intern that they're going to be hiring, hopefully, is going to be acting as someone who's looking for information, seeking information, exploring and discovering what's happening out there in the world. Maybe they'll be watching this channel to see what news is coming out. But I'm sure they're going to be looking for news in a lot of different places and a lot of different forums, Medium, Reddit, all over the net, where they can prepare bi-weekly briefings to keep this initiative informed on new applications in the field of blockchain technology. And so the State Department is arguing that it needs to move quickly in exploring the ways in which this new blockchain technology might impact the world, impact the United States, and impact the way that the US State Department performs its job functions. So this is a quote from the US State Department. Blockchain is not just for Bitcoin, and it's not just for private sector. Nations and cities around the world are actively utilizing this technology to transform the work of government. This is happening now, and the state and the Department of State cannot afford to wait to explore applications of this technology to the work of the international development and diplomacy. So this is very, very interesting. The State Department is very clear about understanding what Bitcoin is and what blockchain technology is. They're clear that this is something that's encroaching not just into the private sector, but as we all know, into every single major government in the world. And they recognize the massive, the immediate massive implications of change, which are not only pending, but right on top of us. If this was a tsunami, it's about to hit us. We're feet away on the grand scheme of things. This is halfway through 2017. We're going to hit 2018. I don't want to rush it for us, but 2 years later is 2020, and that's when we're expecting, the proverbial dirt to hit the fan, so to speak. So moving on here. Earlier this year, there's other departments in the United States that are seeking to understand and explore the blockchain technology, while the states and the federal government and the Senate and the House sort of figure out the laws and the statutes of what they want to put on the books. The Department of Health and Human Services has had a hackathon to focus on blockchain applications. And then the Commerce Department hosted an event earlier this year that discussed how this technology could be applied to digital copyright, similar to what we're seeing out of Russia as well. So when we hear about the State Department exploring blockchain technology, there's a lot of different ideas that might come to our mind immediately. And it's important to realize that what we see here is the State Department, I would say, being, from this perspective, being a neutral party, potentially pro-blockchain in this regard. That they're not seeking, they're not saying we're going to stop it, we're not saying it's good or it's bad. They're just stating the facts. They're stating that this technology is here in all sectors, in private and public, government and commercial, and that if the United States isn't going to be looking into this information, this technology, that what I'm reading between the lines here is that the US State Department won't be able to perform their job fully, and they also recognize that the systems of efficiency and the costs of the United States providing services is going to be much greater than these other countries that are saving cost and increasing efficiency by using blockchain technology. And so maybe it's not very tangible. Let's make it tangible, and let's look at a specific example of both the private sector and the public government sector working on blockchain, and let's look at an example of both another world government and city that is using blockchain technology. And so in this other article from coindesk.com, and this was posted at a couple places, with Dubai plans on digital passports to use blockchain technology. And so the Dubai government has partnered with this UK startup, Object Tech, and they're bringing blockchain security to the Emirates airport. And so they're going to be working with the Dubai Immigration and Visa Department to develop these digital passports. And these can potentially eliminate manual checks at the airport. So if you've ever been to the airport, or if you've ever watched the news and seen the process of getting into an airport in America, there's all these different screenings and all these different checks. And they're saying that people, how I'm reading this is that people will simply be able to walk through the airport, and instead of having no security, it'll feel like there's no security, but people will be able to walk through the airport, and this blockchain technology would guarantee know who they are somehow, not requiring any check. So how is this going to work? So this is going to allegedly, it's going to use a pre-approved and entirely digitized passport that's going to authorize travel for the different passengers, entrance into the country and whatnot. I would imagine they would still need their, legacy 1.0 paper passports to get through other countries that don't have this technology. But this system would further identify individuals through a three-dimensional scan as they walk through a short tunnel, as they walk from the aircraft to claim their baggage. And so between this digital passport and this three-dimensional scan, they're going to be able to track people's identity and entrances in and out of the border in what I can imagine is an extremely sophisticated sort of manner. When I think about the systems now, we have these systems of facial recognition. So we have the standard security checks that we all know and we're all aware of, but there are these facial recognition checks that are already identifying every single person. I think they were first used in casinos and really popular in casinos, and they're super efficient and super effective at pointing out a person's identity, even when that person is trying to hide, maybe who they were from walking into an area before. And so if we already have this existing technology, things like facial ID recognition, but then we take people's passports and their identity and we put them on a blockchain, airports have the potential of becoming extremely secure, where, everything would be known and not just known, but guaranteed on a blockchain, right? Which is just a whole other level of dimension, because when it's on a blockchain, it's sort of guaranteed, it's provable, it's difficult to manipulate, right? If you're watching some sort of, Mission Impossible movie, they're going to make a Mission Impossible 23, and somehow they're going to hack the blockchain and change the blockchain identity. That's just in the movies. This blockchain technology is super serious, as we're all pretty aware of, and this is a very tangible application. So this article goes on to say that this is going to incorporate additional features, sovereign identity for privacy protection, which claims it's going to allow passengers to control which parties can view their passport information. Is that true? It remains to be seen. Is this going to be a centralized database? Is this going to be open source? Is this going to be something where anyone can see how it works, see the source code, test the source code? There's a lot of questions yet to be answered from both Dubai and Object Tech. So the CEO of Object Tech, Paul Ferris, he said the aim is to make the border process quicker and safer for international travelers, and also give passengers full control of their digital data. Again, we'll wait to see if that's the case. Not that the people passing through this airport will have much of a choice, because if they want to go through this airport, they'll have to use whatever system is in place, I suppose, right? So this pilot program is anticipated to be ready by 2020. And what else do we have here? Part of the Dubai government's commitment to stay 10 years ahead of the rest of the world. So maybe this is why Russia has done their about face recently. A few months ago, Russia was anti-Bitcoin, anti-cryptocurrency, calling for massive regulations inside the country of Russia. And now in the past week or so, we've seen a total about face, accepting Bitcoin, regulating Bitcoin, even if they have to know everyone's identity who's purchasing Bitcoin, just like it works in New York State, I suppose. But they know that Dubai and the UAE government, they have this plan to stay 10 years ahead. And so I'm sure Russia doesn't want to be 10 years behind Dubai, and I'm sure Russia doesn't want to be 10 years behind America, but at this point, it seems like Russia and Dubai are both taking a step ahead. Also in Dubai, we have these 28 innovative startups signing up to work on all different projects, and the collaborations are going to cover all areas of public and presumably private sectors. So we're talking about healthcare, education, utilities. This is exactly what we see, what the US State Department is talking about, that across the world there's governments and cities, public and private sectors that are working on these services which can increase the efficiencies of these governments. And the United States State Department at least wants to stay on top of these developments while our state and federal governments are hashing out how do we get blockchain technology in America. And so just to show you, this was an article back in February posted on Cointelegraph.com where, way back then, about 4 or 5 months ago, suddenly Dubai aims at becoming the first blockchain-powered city by 2020. And here we are, 5 months later, and they have this pilot program for their planned not only for their international airports, but all these other initiatives, as we said, for healthcare and education. And so, yeah, they have a vision. And with this announcement, you just know the government and the city and the private sector are all on board with them. Who do we have here? Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum believes that the implementation of blockchain technology within and outside the realm of finance could greatly benefit the growth of leading industries in the UAE. And so here's the official statement, just to go over that. Dubai launched a citywide blockchain strategy in October 2016 with the aim of becoming the first blockchain-powered city by 2020. SDO and 1776 are looking, these are names of the organizations that are helping with this initiative, are looking for game-changing applications of blockchain technology in any industry. Blockchain has the potential to improve people's lives, and Dubai is posed to be the leader in moving such applications forward. So if you guys know about Dubai, Dubai is a big place. It is used to be a big dry desert, maybe with water and desert and a little bit of everything. And what did Dubai do? They had a lot of resources, and they had a lot of oil, and they had a vision of growing the city of Dubai into one of the most amazing cities in the world. And with all that money, and with the money plus their vision, they were able to execute in that strategy. So if you look at Dubai from 30 years ago and you look at Dubai now, I wish I had the photos ready, then it would be interesting to see that comparison. It's like night and day. And so now if their vision is aimed to be the hub of blockchain development in the upcoming years by allowing the blockchain startups to grow within a practical ecosystem, can you imagine what would be the effects of that sort of city, and what it'd be like living in that city with that much application of Bitcoin and blockchain type technologies? And also think about all the money that the UAE has and that all the business leaders in the UAE have. There's stories about how much money these folks have, and they can take this money and not only invest it into blockchain startups and other blockchain companies, but they can take this money and they can invest tons of it directly into Bitcoin, directly into Ethereum, directly into any one of a number of these different altcoins, especially as Dubai becomes not the only city in the UAE that is fully blockchain capable. So I hope that this news about what's happening in Dubai and with their intentions of making this blockchain city really reaches leaders inside our government at both state and federal levels. Twitter was used by criminals, cars were used by criminals. As Andreas Antonopoulos was saying, shoes were, when they were first invented, were probably used by criminals. And just because, criminals and, bad guys, whoever those people might be, are using technology doesn't make the technology itself bad. And if the United States or any country that's, saying things about Bitcoin and blockchain technology that isn't true, that are closing their doors and shutting down innovation and shutting down inspiration and shunning people from even looking into the subject. It's just really unfortunate that those cities are going to be left behind. What could New York City be if New York City decided that New York City was going to be the first fully blockchain enabled city by 2020? What if San Francisco or Oakland or Los Angeles or Austin or Atlanta or Toronto or Brisbane or Rio de Janeiro? I mean, there's all these different places in the world and in America that could become the leaders in this technology, that can develop the next generation of leaders, instead of having the vast majority of them only live in 1 or 2 continents. Maybe we can get new blockchain leaders coming from all 7 continents. So with that, I'd love to know what you think. What do you think about Litecoin? What do you think about the state of Bitcoin across the world and blockchain technology across the world leading up to 2020? What are your thoughts? I think I have an idea, but I'd like to know, and at least say hello and share in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to this video, share this video. Feel free to check out the show notes as well. There's cool stuff, there's cool links, and there's ways to help and support this channel. If you have any questions, feel free to email direct if you would like the sort of sense of privacy. And in the meantime, I'll be searching some more news. There's some really interesting things coming, and I also have some sponsored videos that I'll be sharing with you as well. So until then, stay knowledgeable, stay together, stay united, and I'm glad that together we're minting coins.